In this video, we're going to discuss how to prepare your pictures in Photoshop to be placed into InDesign. So now that we have our document set up with the 8 pages, and if you've taken all of your pictures, we should be ready for the next step. So I'm going to go to Finder. I'm going to find my pictures. I have all of my JPEGs in a folder that's marked for JPEGs. And I'm just going to start by opening one of them in Photoshop. So you can go to Open With. I did that by right-clicking, and then you go to Adobe Photoshop, and it should open. So once it opens, we're going to take the color out. So this is the picture of my couch, and it doesn't matter which order you do them in. They just all have to get done. So once you've selected all the pictures that you actually want to use, we're going to turn them to be black and white because this project is black, white, and just one color. So we have our picture. Now we know already from the previous project that to take the color out, we can go to Image, Adjustments, Use Saturation, and just take the saturation to 0. And we see because Preview is checked that now there's no color. However, I want to show you a different way to do it that's less destructive. So I'm going to hit Cancel. So in Photoshop, there are typically 2 ways to do anything. There's a destructive way and a non-destructive way. So the destructive way means that it changes the picture and you can't edit it anymore or get the color back. The non-destructive way means that we can make it black and white and then change it as we see fit. So I want to show you how to do it the non-destructive way. So we go here, and if you find, so we remember that this is the mask icon. So next to the mask icon in the layers window is this half circle. It looks like a half moon cookie or a black and white cookie, and if you click it, it's adjustment layers. So if you go here, you can find all of anything that's over here under image and adjustments, right? Those are all over here as well. These are just adjustment layers, and we'll see how they work in a second. I'm going to choose Use Saturation. And now we have this Use Saturation layer that pops up. I'm going to take the saturation to 0. And now it's the same effect. So this picture now has no color in it. But what if I turn this Use Saturation layer off? Now it has the color back. I didn't change the picture at all. What I did was I put a filter on top that takes the color out. And that's what we want to do. So now you're going to save this file as a Photoshop file. So we're going to go to File, Save As. And I'm saving this as, I want to save this as, let's see. This is the Neat Couch. So you can either save it as what it is, or you can save it as what page. I think the first time I did this, I did it by page numbers. But I'm just going to save it as what it is. And I'm going to go to my folder where I want to save it. Instead of saving it in this QB JPEGs folder, what I did was I made a separate folder for the Photoshop files. You can just save them in one place if you want to, but this makes it a little more organized. I'm just going to save it over here. I'm going to hit OK. If your computer doesn't have a lot of space, you can uncheck maximize compatibility, but if your computer doesn't have a space issue, then just hit OK. And now your file is done and it's saved. We're going to do this for all of them. So I'm just going to select all of them. I'm going to drag them to the Photoshop icon, and it should just open all of them. And I'm just going to do this for all of them. I want to show you one more thing in this video to prepare you to put these photos into InDesign. I'm going to close Neat Couch. So we see that this picture is a little bit on a slant. This line should really be straight. So, well, the first thing I want to do, let's just take the color out. So we can go Use Saturation. Here's the adjustment layer. And I just take the saturation to 0. Great. Now if I want to straighten this out, I want to be on background, this one. I want it to be unlocked. And then we can go to crop. So this is the crop tool. Crop can be used to either resize it or we can use it to straighten it. So I'm gonna hit this icon. It looks a little like a suitcase. And if you hit it, you get the tiny suitcase. And then you hit down, and without lifting your finger, you keep it down until you've let go, until you've gotten to the end of the line. And then it straightens the picture out for you. So now the idea here, I'm going to hit this so that way it doesn't accept the change. So what we're doing is we're identifying a line that should be straight but doesn't look straight. So I think that this really should be straight, but it isn't. So I'm hitting the straighten tool, and I find the line that I want to be straight, and it tells me by how many degrees it isn't straight by. And then we let go, and it straightens it. You can hit content aware, and that would make the picture bigger instead of shrinking it down. Let's just see what happens if I hit that. Content aware sometimes makes things a little wonky, but when there isn't a lot of information, it makes it it can help make things look bigger. Okay, and that's how we do that. And then I'm going to save this as back page. I think this was page 8. I'm just going to save this as page 8. So that way I can remember where I want it, and then I save it into QB demo folder. Then we hit OK. So I'm just going to do this until I get through all of my pictures. Here's another example of a picture that needs to be straightened. I think so we can either straighten it along this line, or this line. Let's see what looks. I'm just going to do one until I think it looks good. I'm starting here. And remember that I hit the suitcase to get that, and I can hit content aware. Let's hit the check mark. Notice that this time I'm straightening it before making it black and white. It doesn't really matter which order as long as you get them both done. And if your pictures are more organic and don't have straight lines, then you don't need to straighten them at all. My pictures have very clearly straight or not straight lines because I did doors and such. So I just straighten that. I think that looks a lot better. And then we add the adjustment layer on top. And we hit use saturation. And then we make it to 0. And then we can save as. I'm remembering that this is actually what I did as page 8, but originally I thought this was going to be page 1, so I'm just going to mark it as page 1, even though I know I'm going to make it page 8 later. Okay, and so you want to do that with all of your pictures. Okay, in the next video we're going to talk about how you can take these pictures and put them into InDesign.